They say a mother never really loses her child until someone else starts calling him hers. The day my son called another woman mom, a piece of my soul went silent in. That silence still echoes every night. Asterisk, my name is Margaret Hale. I'm 62. And this house feels too quiet now. I used to love the sound of breakfast dishes clattering, the smell of toast burning, and the way my boy would run in laughing, his shoelaces untied. Now, the only sound left is the old clock ticking, like it's counting how long he's been gone. Asterisk, Ethan was my whole world. After his father passed, it was just him and me. We weren't rich, but we had warmth. I worked double shifts at the diner to keep that boy happy. He'd always say, "Good night, Mom. You're my favorite person." Those words kept me alive. Asterisk, but then came Lily. Sweet smile, perfect hair, soft voice, everyone loved her. Ethan, too. He brought her home one Sunday, and I told myself I was happy for him. But every time she reached for his hand across the table, something twisted in my chest. A voice inside whispered, "She's taking him away." Asterisk, when he told me they were getting married, I smiled like a good mother should. "That's wonderful, honey," I said. But that night I sat in the dark kitchen staring at 2 empty chairs. I whispered to myself, "Next summer, he won't belong to me anymore." Asterisk, the wedding came faster than I expected. White roses, flashing cameras, laughter. I wore my best blue dress, the one I saved for something special. And when I saw him slip that ring onto her finger, I clapped like everyone else, pretending my tears were joy. After the ceremony, Lily came to me and said, "You raised a wonderful man, Mrs. Hale. Thank you for sharing him with me." Her voice was sweet, but her words sounded like a goodbye. Asterisk, after that day, everything changed. Ethan moved away with her. Calls became rare, then shorter. "Busy week, Mom," he'd say. Busy. That word built a wall between us, brick by brick. Asterisk, months later, my doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I opened the door, Lily stood there. She smiled politely, but her eyes didn't. "Ethan asked me to stop by," she said. We sat awkwardly, coffee cups untouched between us. She sighed and said, "He's been distant lately, works too much. When he talks about home, he talks about you." Asterisk, for a second, I felt warmth. Maybe she wasn't so bad after all. But then she looked straight at me and said, "He needs to move on, Mrs. Hale. The past keeps holding him back." Asterisk, move on, from his own mother. My heart pounded. I smiled politely and said, "A mother never moves on. She just waits." She left soon after. Her perfume stayed longer than she did. That night I cried quietly, so the walls wouldn't hear me. Asterisk, a few days later, Ethan called. His voice was cold, almost like someone else was standing beside him. "Mom," he said, "Lily and I think it's best if we take some space. I'll call you when things settle down." My throat went dry. Space, between a mother and her child. But I didn't argue. I just said softly, "All right, honey, I'll be here when you need me." Asterisk, after he hung up, I sat by the window, watching the moon rise. "You can't take the moon from the night sky," I whispered, "and expect it not to miss its glow." Asterisk, weeks passed. Then, one morning, a letter arrived. No return address, no name, just my mailbox number. Inside was one line, written in handwriting I'd know anywhere. Asterisk, "Mom, please don't believe everything she says." Asterisk, and for the first time in months, I felt both fear and hope. "Mom, please don't believe everything she says." Asterisk, that line kept echoing in my head for days. I must have read it 100 times, tracing the letters with my finger, feeling his pain between each stroke of ink. Ethan's handwriting always tilted a little to the right, like he was in a hurry to say something before time ran out. Asterisk, what was she saying that I shouldn't believe? Why did my own son sound afraid to speak to me directly? Asterisk, I tried calling him. The line rang twice, then went to voicemail. I tried again the next day, and the next. No answer. My heart started to feel like that phone always ringing, but never picked up. Asterisk, then one afternoon, I was out front trimming the old rose bush when a car I didn't recognize stopped in front of my house. Lily stepped out. Expensive dress, perfect hair. Not a single sign of the woman I remembered sitting awkwardly at my kitchen table months ago. Asterisk, double quotes, "Mrs. Hale," she said softly, almost rehearsed. "Can we talk?" Asterisk, I wanted to slam the door before she could even reach the porch, but something in her eyes made me pause. She didn't look angry. She looked desperate. Asterisk, we sat in the living room. She looked around at the family pictures on the wall, the ones I hadn't taken down. Her gaze lingered on a photo of Ethan when he was 10. holding a trophy bigger than his arms. He used to smile like that, she whispered. I didn't reply. Then she sighed, looked down, and said, Ethan's not himself anymore. He barely eats. He doesn't sleep. He's working constantly. I thought it was just stress, but now he talks in his sleep, says your name, every night. Asterisk, my chest tightened. So what do you want from me? Asterisk, her hands trembled. He won't talk to me. He just shuts down. Please, Mrs. Hale, I know I hurt you, but I need your help. Asterisk, for a moment, I saw a glimpse of the girl Ethan once loved, a little lost, a little scared. Maybe she wasn't the villain I'd built in my mind. Asterisk, that evening, I sat by my window again, holding that letter. Outside, the streetlights flickered like they were breathing with me. I whispered to myself, maybe this is my sign to fight for him. Asterisk, the next morning, I packed a small bag, locked my house, and drove to their city 3 hours away. Every mile felt heavier. I didn't know if he'd open the door. I didn't know if Lily would even let me near, but I had to try. Asterisk, when I reached their apartment, the building looked lifeless, gray walls, broken light in the hallway. I knocked, no answer. I knocked again, harder this time. Finally, the door opened. But it wasn't Ethan. It was a neighbor, an older man with tired eyes. Asterisk, you're looking for the young couple? He asked. Asterisk, yes, I said quickly. Ethan and Lily Hale. Asterisk, he hesitated. They moved out 2 weeks ago, left in a rush, didn't even say goodbye. Asterisk, my stomach dropped. Did they say where? Asterisk, he shook his head. Just packed and left. She looked upset. He looked broken. Asterisk, that night, I checked into a small motel nearby. I sat on the edge of the bed staring at my phone. No calls, no messages, just silence. Asterisk, then, at midnight, a message finally appeared. Unknown number. Asterisk, Mom, I'm sorry. I can't explain now, but please, don't come looking for me. I need to fix this before it's too late. Asterisk, my fingers froze over the screen. Fix what? I barely slept that night. Every sound outside the motel window made me jump. The next morning, I went back to their apartment building, hoping, maybe, just maybe, someone saw something. The landlord was a kind old woman named Mrs. Cooper. She said she remembered Ethan, such a polite young man. She said, but that wife of his, she came in last month looking nervous, said something about debts, and that they might need to disappear for a while. Debts? Ethan never mentioned money problems. He was responsible, always careful. Then she showed me something, a torn piece of mail that got returned after they left. It was addressed to E. Hale, 47, East Bridge Ave, a new address. I took it and drove straight there. My hands shook as I parked in front of a small house at the end of the street. Curtains closed, no sound inside. I walked up, heart pounding, and knocked. No answer. I turned to leave, but then I heard it faint, almost like a whisper. A man's voice, tired and weak. Mom. I froze, turned slowly. Ethan. I whispered back. There was silence for a moment, then footsteps. The door creaked open just an inch and I saw him. Pale, thinner than I remembered, eyes hollow. He looked at me like someone seeing daylight after years in the dark. Mom, you shouldn't have come. And then behind him, in the dim hallway light, a shadow moved. The door creaked open wider, and for the first time in almost a year, I saw my son's face up close. He looked nothing like the boy I raised. His eyes were tired, his shoulders heavy, like he'd been carrying a world that didn't belong to him. Asterisk, Ethan, I whispered, stepping closer. What happened to you? Asterisk, he looked behind him nervously, then pulled me inside. Mom, you shouldn't be here. She'll be back any minute. Asterisk, she, I said, though I already knew who he meant. Asterisk, he nodded slowly, running a trembling hand through his hair. Lily, she's not who you think she is. Asterisk, my heart sank. What do you mean? Asterisk, he sat down on the edge of the couch, face buried in his hands. It started small. After we got married, she said she wanted to handle the finances. I trusted her. Then she asked me to take a few loans in my name for her new business idea. I said yes, of course, but it wasn't a business, Mom. It was gambling. Online, she lost everything. When I found out, she begged me not to go to the police, said she'd fix it. I believed her again. Asterisk, he looked up, eyes red. And then one night, men came to our apartment. They wanted their money back. That's why we left. That's why I told you to stay away. Asterisk, I couldn't breathe for a moment. My hands shook as I touched his face. Oh, Ethan. Asterisk, he grabbed my hand tightly. I didn't know how to tell you. I thought I could protect you if you stayed out of it, but it just got worse. She started lying, saying I was unstable, that I was imagining things. She took my phone, read my messages, deleted yours. I wasn't allowed to call you, Mom. I wasn't allowed to call anyone. Asterisk, my chest tightened. The pain in his voice cut through me like glass. Asterisk, she told me you didn't want to see me, I whispered, my eyes filling. Asterisk, he looked at me like a child again, shaking his head. I never said that. I never stopped wanting to see you. Asterisk, for the first time in months, he leaned into my arms. I held him, feeling his tears against my shoulder. The same boy I once rocked to sleep was now shaking in my arms like the world had betrayed him. Asterisk, then, the sound of a car door slammed outside. Ethan's body stiffened. She's here. Asterisk, I turned toward the window. Lily walked up the driveway, phone in hand, pacing fast, her face pale. She looked nervous, angry. Even when she stepped inside, she froze. Her eyes met mine. Asterisk, Mrs. Hale, she said sharply, you shouldn't be here. I think that's not your decision anymore, I said quietly. She looked at Ethan. You told her. Asterisk, he stood up slowly, his voice trembling but firm. Yes, I did. I'm done lying for you. Asterisk, for a second, the whole room was silent. Then her calm mask cracked. You think anyone will believe you, after everything I've done for you? She snapped. Asterisk, you didn't do it for me, Ethan said. You did it to control me, to keep me away from the only person who ever loved me for real. Asterisk, Lily's eyes filled with tears, but not the kind that come from guilt, the kind that come from fear of losing. She turned away, grabbed her purse, and rushed out. The sound of her footsteps faded down the street until it was just us, mother and son, and the sound of our breathing. Asterisk, Ethan sank back onto the couch, his voice shaking. Mom, I ruined everything. I sat beside him, holding his hand tight. No, sweetheart, you lost your way. But I'm still here. For a long time, we just sat there in silence. The same kind of silence that used to hurt now felt peaceful, healing. Weeks passed after that day. Ethan came home with me. We fixed the house together, fresh paint, new light in every room. Some nights he still woke up from bad dreams, whispering her name like a ghost he couldn't forget. But every morning, when he came downstairs and smiled at me, I saw a piece of my son return. And one evening, as the sun dipped low behind the kitchen window, he hugged me from behind and said softly, Mom, thank you for not giving up on me. I smiled through tears. A mother never gives up, Ethan. She just waits until her child finds his way back home. The woman who took my son away might have broken him for a while, but love, real love, brought him back. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to Granova Tales, where every story reminds us that even after heartbreak, love always finds a way home.